What is going on, guys? Today, new video. You have been hot to ask this, so this will be a part 2 about this whole thing with Jeff Nippard and the other two fake natties. I just wanted to take the time to thank you for the amazing support, and I would like to also thank you for the fact that so many of you actually believed in me and actually understand that, I'm quite knowledgeable at that, and that apparently so I pre-shorted and was right for quite a few things, just, watching a video and making informative deduction in conclusion about it. So I have my glasses because it's very late and my eyes are tired. I'm currently preparing for a show, so if I look quite hollow and, my face is a bit sucked up and I have fibers everywhere or veins, I don't know. It's quite normal too. I already ate this time, so I will not be I would not be enjoying my meal when I watch that. Yeah, let's go.
Most people try to figure out if someone is natural or not by looking at them. If they're below the line, they're natty. If they're above the line, they're not. But the problem is, people draw that line in very different places. Some people draw the line here, at Will Tennyson. Others draw the line right up to, but not including Simian Panda. Believe it or not, a lot of people still think that The Rock is natty. And recently, millions of people fell for the Liver King.
Do I really have to do that? No one believes The Rock is natural. Anyone who has stepped in the gym at least a few weeks know that The Rock is not natural. And as for Liver King, anyone who believed was natural in French, we have a saying that say, les pigeons méritent d'être pigeonnés, which means gullible people deserved to be scammed. If this is natural, like it's been 25 seconds.
Scam, lying that his physique came from his ancestral diet and not the $10,000 monthly steroid.
What the hell is even that? Oh, that's psycho. All of this to look like that?
Steroid cocktail. So it's understandable why so many people don't believe influencers anymore. And it's also understandable why there's so much disagreement about how big you can get without steroids. Even within our own community, people are not on the same page about this. And it's leading to some absolute dumpster fire debates.
The fake natural epidemic is getting worse.
Never played a sport in his life and then just blew up like an IFBB pro. That's how that works.
So, in this video, I'm diving straight into the dumpster fire.
Okay, just a short synthesis for the ones that watch the part 1 or just want to be sure about what I'm saying and what I believe in. I do believe that their physique could be naturally achievable if you have good genetic plus like decades of training, maybe, possibly. But it is definitely not achievable in only 3 years of training, and they are not supposed to be already trumping 99% of a whole fit game, whatever, if you're juiced or natty, at only barely 20 or 20 something. Okay, one is either a fake natty or like one in a billion genetic, and he will be basically the next Bonnie Coleman, and the other one is just a blatant lie. Okay, that's overall what I believed in. And there was a big black dude that was like a bench champion that I believe could be natural, but is like its prime golden genetic, in my opinion, because he's quite young and he had already a 4 plate and a half bench max, and he was playing with 4 plates. So who knows? It's like, potential is so endless. You could be basically at 5 plates in a few years, maybe. Yeah. And so if he can bench 5 plates, he can rep 4 plate and a half. Either you are juiced or you have like that freaky natural genetic when you're just made for power and for benching. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, of course, the doubt is there, but I do believe that it could be natural and he's just really blessed and there is no like real red flag. While the other two, there. So that's the synthesis of the 1 hour long video I did prior.
And I'm taking 3 tools with me: history, science, and common sense. And using those 3
common sense.
tools, I'm going to give my final answer to the question, how big can you get without steroids? Steroids are, for the most part, different flavors of testosterone. Tren is testosterone with this carbon atom removed. Nandrolone is the same thing but with a few less double bonds, and testpropionate, enanthate, and cypionate are all literally just testosterone with an ester chain added at different lengths, which impacts how quickly it's released into your system. So, the first step in our natty or not journey is figuring out when steroids actually became available. That way we can look at the most jacked guys from before then and know with certainty that their physique.
The first video, it's Eugen Sandow. He's doing a muscle control demonstration. It's not 1941. I think it's 1901. I'll be doing a bit of editing here. 11 June 1903. It needs to check something. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. You had one job. You had one job, Jeff. Fucking hell.
Before then, and know with certainty.
Le plus bel homme or le plus bel athlète. It was in Cannes, France. The date is correct, so it is Steve Reeves.
That their physiques were achieved naturally, because the drugs didn't exist yet. Alright, testosterone was first isolated in 1935 by a Dutch pharmacologist named Ernst Lequeur at the University of Amsterdam, where he took literally thousands of bull testicles, mashed them up into a pulp, and squeezed the testosterone out. By the early 1940s, a few psychiatrists started experimenting with that testosterone as a potential cure for what they were calling male menopause, which is basically just depression and low sex drive. It actually worked too, but testosterone still wasn't publicly available, and at this point, no one actually realized that it could be used as a performance-enhancing drug. It actually wasn't until the 1952 World Olympics in Finland that people finally realized that testosterone could make you bigger and stronger. That's because, out of nowhere, Soviet weightlifters suddenly and suspiciously took home 3 gold medals. And with that, the very first natty or not scandal had begun. A couple years later, in 1954, the bodybuilding world's misadventures with steroids officially began when Dr. John Ziegler went to the York Barbell Club in Pennsylvania and injected John Grimmick with his first shot of steroids. And the rest is history.
Okay, so far, most of the things he said, if memory serves correct, is true. The problem I have is that some people may not believe it, but some of you may have forgotten the world before Amazon Prime, okay? And some of you may be thinking, okay, it's been invented at this date, so all of a sudden it's worldwide. No. You have to remember that in this context, first and foremost, there was Second World War. So Europe, especially Western Europe, was a fucking wasteland. Second, afterward, the whole Europe, and especially the Western Europe, got extremely economically damaged, while the Eastern was totally destroyed by Bolshevism and communism, and it was like in the SSR bloc, and then there was Cold War. So if you imagine the world basically being split in two between East Germany and everywhere on the East, and then West Germany and everything on the West, okay? It is not because something is available and done in one block that it is done in the other, or done the same, or available at the same rate, first and foremost. Second, this thing with John Ziegler and John Grimmick is true, and John Grimmick wrote in a letter that he tried, he felt extremely sick, must have done some kind of reaction to the injection or whatever, or the oral, I think it was oral by the way at the time, and he just threw the whole bottle. That's what he said. We do not know if this is what he did, but this is what he said. What is pretty funny is that down the line, maybe 20 years later, it was actually John Grimmick who was the top guy to sell anabolics, especially on the Pacific coast. And if you find pictures of John Grimmick online where he was much older, 60s and 70s, you will see that he was in extremely great shape. He was still extra strong, was actually juicing. Okay, and he was the top reseller of maybe Ziegler or maybe another guy. I said Pacific Coast. This means that it is the west side of US, not the east side. This means that any late athletes that could have seen in the 50s, like Marvin Eder or Leroy Colbert, despite being in the US at the same time you were starting to see steroids inside the US, may not have been able to use them. So, in my humble opinion, of someone who is extremely open to idealism and just, believing in the good, I don't think you will see high-level athletes that are all using it before early to mid-60s. That's my belief. It is probably wrong, but there you go. So far, so good.
So, based on all this, I think it's safe to say that in all likelihood, American bodybuilders weren't juicing before the 1950s, which means that this physique from 1947 was built 100% naturally. In this photo, Steve Reeves is 21 years old at 6 foot 1 inches tall, 215 pounds, and what looks to be around 10, maybe 12% body fat. Now, he actually wasn't the biggest guy that I could find from this era, but I do think he was the most aesthetic. And the real reason that I picked Steve Reeves as an example of a natural bodybuilder from the pre-steroid era is that literally everyone agrees that this physique is 100% achievable naturally, right? Right? All right, well, there are a few skeptics. I guess these people think this.
Ready to the source. Is this common sense he was talking about? I don't know. Okay, Steve Reeves won 1 in a billion genetic. He was handsome, he had a perfect bone structure, he had the perfect muscle attachment, and he was an extremely good athlete and a good bodybuilder and a good poser. He had tiny waist, wide shoulder, big arms, and if you had his books, which I have, you would know that everything was thought through. Like everyone at the time he was doing flat bench and barbell squat, he did not like the way it was developing his body. He started to think outside the box. He had help from head Yadik at the time, so he developed his own method, notably doing much more incline benching, doing a lot of wide grip vertical pull downs, doing much more arm isolation that others were doing basically inventing incline curls as well, doing much more hack squat and front squat than back squats. And size-wise, shape-wise, yeah, you either have a genetic or you don't, okay? But size-wise, is it that difficult nowadays or at any time to find a guy with 185 centimeter tall and 95 kilogram at a pretty low BF without being shredded? I do not think so. Sure, Steve had fantastic genetic, and by the way, in this book, he was talking about, his father and his grandfather, and I think when one of his great-grand uncle, and they were all basically giants. The guy had perfect genetic to be tall, quite big, and very wide shoulder, okay? It's purely genetic and even talks about it. He said, I basically was born on the shoulder on giants. I think it's literally the sentence in the book. Size-wise, we're not going to talk at his biggest because too much information. It could be a 3 hours video, guys. But basically right here, he was supposedly having arms that were about 44 centimeter or like 17 inches and a half up to 18 inches. But I'm pretty sure that the 18 inches arms were much later in his career when he was like 24, 25. So 1949 to 1950 when he did Mr. Universe and he won it. So what you're looking at is a guy who was like 46 centimeter calves, let's say 45 centimeter arms, basically the same at the neck, very small waist, genetic as well, but very small waist, and he's 6'1" or 185 centimeter. Is that so big in your humble opinion? Because in mine, it's not. There are plenty of mini Steve Reeves walking around. Okay, it's been since I'm 20, so 10 years that people say that I look-ish like him. Okay, like the way my torso is made, the way my rib cage is, the way I pose, etc. I'm like a mini Steve Reeves, okay? And I really appreciate this comment and this compliment because it's like a big one. If I can do it, many of us can, okay? So in my humble opinion, he's not inachievable body, height-wise athlete. Look-wise,
Steve Reeves, a 21-year-old from Montana, found a steroid plug before the U.S. Olympics team at a time when the U.S.-Soviet rivalry was at an all-time high. But you know what? Let's entertain the extreme skepticism and go back to before Ernst LeCure ever isolated testosterone. The most jacked person I could find from this era was this man, Eugen Sandow.
Eugen Sandow is the most jacked person you could find. Let's just go with it.
To this day, this is who the Mr. Olympia trophy is named after. This photo was taken in 1897.
Oh, I thought it was 1941.
Before the airplane was invented. He was 5'9", 185 pounds, at around 10% body fat, and 100% natural.
Eugen Sandow was this height, but at this date, this period, he was hovering in between a shredded 185 pounds or 85 kilogram and up to 210 pounds or a 95 kilogram with much more fluff. I do not put the body weight, the body fat. We do not care. But the margin of average is 200 pounds or 90 kilogram, not 185. Second, yes, he was natural, but you know what? I'm going to play devil advocate for once. At the time, there was no steroids, there was not these things, but we had something extremely commonly used by athletes and even by everyday normal people that were called tonics. And in these tonics, you had cocaine and epinephrine. And that dude was a very, very big fan of a French wine that gave the idea of a creator of Coca-Cola, Coke, to do it. And it was a wine, a red wine with cocaine inside, up to 12%, I think, something like that. Or it was 12 degree alcohol plus cocaine. I do not remember, but it was extremely favored by strength athletes and by guys like him that were like in between, like strength athlete, but at the same time you have to be cosmetically appealing. They saw that it was like giving you a much better muscle tone, like you're basically leaner. It's okay, you know. So yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing, I'm just going to put it there, you know. You do research afterward, but a very easy guy to find that was much bigger than him was George Akentrit. He was from Estonia, I mean modern Estonia, but at the time it was like maybe the Russian Empire, and he was this height, but he was 100 kilogram, barely fatter, so 220 pounds. You must have done that with ChatGPT, I don't know.
But the 1800s were a long time ago. I mean, gym equipment looked like this, and this. And, okay, this is actually a pretty cool lat pull down, but the point is, Eugen Sandow was not training anywhere near optimally in 1897. He was a pioneer.
Did he really said that the training was not optimal? While being trumped size-wise by these guys? Okay, you guys, pretty sure that you know already, but you do not need an optimal training. What you need is to train. Most of the time, the best thing you can do is just to try for progression. More reps, add weight. More reps, add weight. And as natural, you want to get big, you want to get thick, you got to get strong. The stronger you are as a natural on key lift, the better you will be physique-wise and the more muscular you will be. It is simple. It is not easy, but it is simple. Yet again, you want big posterior chain, go RDL 5 plates, 4 reps. You want big thick quads, go hack squat up until the point there will be no room left for plates on each side. You want a big ass chest, go deep with a grown man weight between your legs. You want big thick shoulder, OHP 3 plates. You can do it standing, you can do it seated, you can do it at a slight incline, you can do whatever. Just do 3 plate. You will be big if you do that. The same way, the guy I'm telling you, the big black dude that was a bench champ, you know, in the previous video was benching 200 kilogram and he was big. He's benching 200 kilogram. Of course he's big. And of course, if you're big, you have much more room to bench 200 kilogram. It's a virtual cycle, you know. I mean, at the time, oh, by the way, the picture that he used, I'm pretty sure it's from a Prussian guy that Eugen may or may not have been able to work with. But if you had only machines to train, and these were its machines, maybe it looks goofy, and maybe it's not optimal, but it's either that or nothing. Trust me, if you want to progress, it's better to do something, even if it's not optimal, than nothing. And I know that because I've been training very long, in a very non-optimal way, and I still got better than most dudes that were doing jack shit with all the science-based shit, because I was just focusing more onto the doing and the effort than asking myself, is it the best option I can do?
And a great early proponent of exercise, but he once said that the best way to train was to use, quote, light weights, just 5 to 10 pounds, for 10 to 15 reps. 5 to 10 pounds for 10 to 15 reps.
He was not training like that all year round, and it was just him when he was in exhibition to keep the tone of his muscle after building them while keeping refreshed, because he had to basically do an exhibition like a spectacle every day at night. If you're pro athlete, you already have your shape. You're already able to do a shit ton of stunts that are exhausting, and you have to do this every day. When you're supposed to train, are you going to train hard, or are you going to train just enough to maintain and to build good momentum with, the blood circulation, the blood flow, the active recovery? Meanwhile, every night you will be in whatever cafe or cabaret or whatever, and you will have to perform with, just go Google Eugen Sandow fit of strength, and you will just understand by yourself. Common sense, Jeff. You said you were using common sense.
Reps? Now, it's been over 100 years since Sandow gave those tips. And in that time, more than 500,000 scientific studies have been published on exercise science and nutrition, and millions of people have pursued bodybuilding, professionally and recreationally. So, for as good as he looked, there's absolutely no reason to think that Eugen Sandow was the pinnacle of natural muscular development. The most groundbreaking study on natural muscular development was published by Corey and colleagues in 1995. The researchers went to local gyms in Los Angeles and Boston and asked people if they were natty or not. They got 74 natties and 83 enhanced guys.
Hey, what up, dude? Are you natural? He said he was natural. And this one said he was enhanced.
To volunteer for the study. Then, after urine testing them to make sure they weren't lying, the researchers measured everyone's height, weight, and body fat percentage using hydrostatic underwater weighing, which was considered one of the gold standards at the time. From there, they plugged all their body measurements into this formula for fat-free mass index, or FFMI, which is basically just a number that tells you how jacked you are. The bigger the number, the more muscular. It's a really simple formula. You take your body weight, subtract your fat mass, and divide it by your height squared. So it's really just your lean mass divided by your height squared. This is what they found. Each circle on the graph represents a different person. On the left are all the natural lifters, and on the right are all the lifters taking steroids. And on the y-axis is their FFMI. Remember, the height.
I hope you got your money back, dude. Even these guys, and possibly what, these guys too. How much? 3, 10 guys. These 10 guys, I hope they're fine now.
Higher the number, the more jacked. So this guy was the most muscular, this guy was the least muscular. There are a few really interesting findings here. First, it's obvious that the steroid users were more jacked on average. No surprises there. But if you look at the individual subjects, you can see that going on steroids didn't actually guarantee that you'd be bigger than every natty. Like, this guy down here was taking steroids, and he was still smaller than 86% of the natural lifters. Actually, quite a lot of the natural lifters were just as jacked as the enhanced guys. Like, all of these lifters had an FFMI of 24 to 25, and while 14 were enhanced, 9 were natty. But I think the main takeaway from this study is that there really was a hard cutoff for the natural lifters. Out of 74 subjects, not a single one had a fat-free mass index above 25. 100% of lifters with an FFMI of 25 or higher were on steroids. This led the authors to state that only rare individuals, perhaps with some...
I'm stopping here because I wanted to explain to you how we got FFMI. It needs a specific video, but in short, it's literally written there. Okay? The FFMI is a formula that was created. It's not possible to represent the whole bodybuilding population by just taking first just US athletes, and second, these athletes, I think it was 23 to be exact, and these were all Mr. America winners competing into national and international contest. None of these guys were at their maximum or had reached their limit, because the oldest must have been like 25 or maybe 26, something like that. And it's, again, US athletes. So there is a specific gene pool with US athletes that is not present everywhere in the world. And we are talking about guys that we are only training with barbell, dumbbell, and possibly gymnastic rings. All right? Not to say that now modern equipment allow us to shatter natural limits, but still, if you are doing squats and it hurts on your back, you'll have to stop way earlier than when you're supposed to hurt your quads. And if you are extremely lanky and that you do a squat and you bend over a lot, you'll have much more work done by your low back and your glutes and your hips than your knees, and that's your quads. So, it also depends on that. If you are not really made for squatting, if you had access to a leg press or hack squat, you'd definitely build bigger legs. They did not have that at the time. Same thing, most of them did not have access to an incline bench. So if you had to do presses for shoulder, you had to do it standing, maybe seated on a bench but with no back support. And if you wanted to do your chest, it was dips or bench press, flat. So if for any reason one of these exercises were hurting you or did not feel right, or you were plateauing, or you had like a wrist injury or something, you were fucked. Okay? Nowadays we can do cuff stuff, we can do machine stuff, we have wrist strap, we have everything. Okay? So, puts in perspective a few things. And this whole FFMI thing was based on these guys, and that's it. And it is written, it was only 3 men over 20-year span that exceeded 27. Okay, while the normalized one was 25.4. We are talking about bodybuilding champion. Do you want to base yourself on bodybuilding champion? They already have somewhat of a genetic advantage on you. They were primed to do this kind of thing and to earn muscle. They are not representative of all the mankind population, but definitely not of a bodybuilding or gym bro population, because some of you are just not made to be extremely strong and big. It is how it is, and most of you are just, in the average range, while some of us are a bit above the average, some of us are definitely above, and some of us are like primed for it, okay? And every champion that we'll see at the highest level, whatever the age, is primed for it, because at some point it is genetical and not about how smart you are and how hard you train and how good you diet and how good you sleep, okay? At the highest level, it is genetic for every single sport. Bodybuilding included, powerlifting included, strongman included, CrossFit included, every sport, okay? So this is not something that is correct, and this is not something that is extremely precise. It gives you a gauge on an idea general. So if you like to have parameters and if you like to have little boxes to put stuff inside, go for it, but it is not precise and it doesn't do jack shit, because the main culprit of the FFMI is the bone mass, because apparently the bone mass is not something that you can grow. Yet we know that with training we can get it thicker, and we know that with a wall flow and a few specific exercises you can literally thicken tendon and bone at specific spots. For example, the ankles and for example the wrist. Look at any guys who is doing gymnastic, thick wrist. Look at any guys who is doing arm wrestling, big ass thick wrist. Look at any strongman, like that. The wrist is literally your ankle. Okay? So then it's a bookshelf comparison. If you have a thin bookshelf, can you put a lot of big book on it? No, you can't. It's going to crumble. If you have a big, thick bookshelf, can you put a lot of big books on it? Yes. Can you make something about the book thickness, the bookshelf thickness? A bit. Can you make your gene repetition and polymorphism work for you with time, with expressing much more genes for bodybuilding, hypertrophy, strength, etc., and the other one less? Yes, that's called repetition. That's why you're supposed to train hard for a long time before obtaining a very good physique. That's why when someone is doing it in a few years or in a few months, doubt is permitted.
Genetic or congenital anomalies may attain an FFMI in excess of 25 without steroids. I fit their trend too. According to my latest DEXA scan, I'm 10.3% body fat, I'm 164.5 centimeters tall, and I weigh 155.8 pounds. That means my FFMI comes out to 24.
Let me check something. 30 and I maxed out. Why is it not the same result? Okay. Yeah, but that was okay. And then he said, big ass finger. Okay. So I'm 25.2. And what was that again? It's in between, bro. Okay. So, okay. Well, I am apparently maxed out and I cannot gain any kind of muscle ever again because I'm already above and I'm suspicious. Do you see, guys? I'm suspicious. Suspicious. Sus. Very sus. Type sus in the comments. You got him.
So, is that it? 25 is the natty limit? Well, let's see. This is a list of all the pre-steroid era Mr. America bodybuilding winners from 1939 to 1949. In 1939, Burt Goodrich was the best bodybuilder in America. He had an FFMI of, 24.3. The next winner was Roland Essmaker. His FFMI was 22.6. In 1940, John Gremick won the title with an FFMI of 24.0. In 1942, Frank Late won the title with an FFMI of, there it is, 25.5. And then from 1943 to 1949, 5 other pre-steroid era bodybuilders broke through the supposed natty.
So yeah, just admitted that the calculations are flawed and that it does not even reflect what at the time was supposedly something that was not achievable or done, and that it was some kind of ceiling that no one could exceed without being on steroids or at least extremely blessed. And there you are, showing us a dozen of dudes that did it over the years. What did he say again? Science? What did he say again? History, science, and common sense.
Over 25 is rare, but it's not impossible. Let's go back to the Corey study. There are only 74 subjects here. And again, you do see this hard cutoff on the natty side at 25. But I suspect that if they had more natural subjects, you would have seen more people break through that ceiling. And with enough subjects, you'd eventually see a normal distribution, more like what you saw in Division II college football players. The average.
Is he really taking American football player as an example of FFMI, of supposedly natural guys? Oh, I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
FFMI or SOI. It was ever was there's see goal leaders on tonic. And I see it. Us say me but as slayers. And those guys even easy some. Like I don't measure all jigs. I get that find the Eastern American data. It's not for that. It is very tough. Speak I'll stick it that provided over by Hussein Farhat, the base surfer your last video, 185 pounds, 5 foot 11 inches tall, around 12% long.
First thing is even training legs to be that light. Second, the body fat is not 12. It's just not. Come on. Third, just because you have a low FFMI does not mean that you're natural. And you literally showed a graph of dudes that were juicing and they were barely at 20 of FFMI. This does not mean shit. It does not mean squat. And the problem, again, with him is not the FFMI, it's not the weight, it's not the body fat, it's the overall rendering of the whole physique and especially the upper body, because the upper body is what we see, and this upper body looks juicy. The skin tone is off, maybe not right there, but on a few photos it was off. The speed of achievement of said physique is definitely too fast, and there is absolutely nothing to rely upon to show us that it is actually, for any weird reason, maybe thanks to like some great strength on regarding his physique, elbows out rows and vertical pulls and curls and incline press and overhead press. And yet again, as I said in the first video, every single muscle that is big with him is our muscle with high density of androgen receptors, AR.
He has an FFMI of, what do you think, 25, 26, 27? Now, Hussein's
23.
FFMI was 22.8. Now, I know the issue with Hussein isn't his size per se. It's the speed of his transformation that's suspicious. In this Instagram post, Hussein said he went from 134 to 184 pounds in his first 3 years of lifting at around the same body fat. I know he looks a lot leaner on the...
So apparently, you guys came and told me that it's not true. He's been training for 30 years, but he actually obtained this physique in about 1 year and a half, so 18 months. And then he's just been maintaining. What kind of natural guy build this from this in 18 months and then just maintain? None. Okay? No.
the right, but there's some serious angle, lighting, and photo filter tricks going on there, so it's honestly not a good comparison.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless, let's just say he gained 50 pounds of lean mass in 3 years. Is that possible naturally? Well, let's look at it from a scientific angle. This is a table for realistic rates of muscle gain in men from my textbook, The Muscle Lab.
Hey guys, let's look at the scientific evidence. So I wrote a book and we're going to use the book. I'm going to write books too.
Which I wrote before I knew who Hussein was. I said that most men will gain 10 to 25 pounds of lean mass in their...
Okay, 25, 10, 7.5. This means there will be 35 plus 7.5 divided 42.5. It seems, okay, just without trolling, it seems accurate, more or less. But this means that the guy did in 3 years what you apparently would need to do in 5 years or something. 35, 42.5, 37.5, 48, 49, 50. There. So in 3 years, he gained, each time he was maxed out, even more. And total muscle gain lifetime, 50, and the dude did the same thing in 3 years. Yet again, in French, we have a saying, I do not know if you guys have it in English, but we say that when you are trying to make an argument and you're only digging yourself up even further in your bullshit, we say that you're literally giving the stick to hit you with it.
First year of lifting, 5 to 10 pounds in their second year, and 2.5 to 7.5 pounds in their third year. And I based those figures off this 2020 systematic review on whole body muscle growth in healthy adult males. So, according to my table, we're looking at a range of 17.5 to 42.5 pounds of lean mass gained in your first 3 years. Hussein gained 50. So yes, he's above the typical range. There are two possible explanations for that. One
And remember, not even 3 years, 18 months.
explanation is that he took steroids for the first year or two and then came off them before the blood test in my last video. That's possible. The other explanation is that Hussein was quite underweight and seriously under-eating when he first started, causing his transformation numbers to be inflated. According to this 2008 study, average FFMI across 431 healthy Italian men without any training intervention was 19.8. Hussein started with an FFMI of 17. That means at 5'11", if he had
not
healthy,
12% body
adequate
fat there.
nutrition, he should have been starting at 160 pounds, not 134 pounds. That means the first 25 pounds he gained were essentially just getting him back to a healthy baseline. And if you've been under-eating for years, wait.
This is dishonest. This is trying to grab whatever branches of a tree is falling off. When I started training, I was 17, had a huge sport background. I had 9 years of combat sport. I had 4 years of running tracks. And I had 2 years of swimming. Speed swimming, 50 meter, free swimming, and butterfly. It got me big shoulder and big lats. Combat sport was martial art, was grappling, was basically everything. It gave me a huge ass, but it's also genetic because we have other people in the family that have pretty good ass. It gives me big legs. My mom had pretty good legs just from biking. It gives me big shoulder plus the swimming. It gives me pretty good forearm, but my dad also have good forearm, so it's overlap with genetic kid again. And yet at 17, I was extremely skinny, very lean but skinny, and I was 58 kilogram. I think in pounds it's like 125, and I was 5'8", so 173. Then at the end of my first year of training, I gained 11 kilogram, so I was 70 kilogram, I think. Yeah, so when I was 18, I was 70 kilogram. Was basically the same body fat, maybe slightly fatter, or it was water retention, or I don't know. And I grew in it. I was 175. You're telling me that for some reason I was underfed and I was not healthy, and that all of a sudden I just caught up with this healthy baseline and then added a few bits of muscle. Then explain to me, please, why on my second years of training I only gained, I think, like 2 kilogram, and then the third year also 2 kilogram, and then 1 kilogram, and then 500 gram 4 years. I gained all my adulthood healthy baseline kilogram, and I was 17, and then finish. Nothing. I hope you never bought something for that guy, because he's literally insulting your intelligence right there. Your critical thinking and your judgment. I do not know if it's malicious or not.
Weight gain can happen very quickly once you start eating enough, especially if you combine it with hard training and a good genetic response to lifting. So, sure, he could be enhanced. He could be lying the same way that Liver King was lying. Except, it was obvious Liver King was lying.
The question has always been, do you take steroids? Do you take PEDs? The answer to that is no. I've never taken steroids.
Really?
Lied. He lied because afterward he had to confess. Look at him. The guy changed skin color.
I'm thinking about doing it.
And at 5'6", 190 pounds, and 7% body fat, Liver King's FFMI was 29. That's not possible naturally. Not to mention, he had the leathery skin, red puffy face, bloated water retention, and other obvious anabolic side effects. But to be fair, some fitness influencers aren't as obviously fake natties as Liver King. Maybe Hussein is one of them. I can't say with 100% certainty that Hussein Farhat has never taken steroids. I can't say that, but I can say with 100% certainty that Hussein Farhat's physique is achievable without steroids. His blood work is normal, his FFMI is normal, and his transformation, while suspicious, is possible. It's common sense that humans can have very different bodies. The tallest man alive is a Turkish farmer named Sultan Qasim. He's 8'3". The shortest man alive is Eshvin Esfil Ganderswap. He's 2'1". The hairiest man alive is Mike Israel. No, just kidding. It's an Indian teenager named Lalit Patidar, who has 95% of the surface area of his face covered with hair. 1 in a billion sounds impossible until you realize there are 8 billion people on the planet. Then it's not impossible, it's a guarantee. Someone is the oldest, it's Ethel Caterham, she's 115 years old. Someone is the heaviest, it was Khalid bin Mohsen Shari at a staggering 1,345 pounds until he recently lost most of the weight. And someone is the most muscular without taking steroids. Julian Fitzgerald is 19 years old, and he's been training for 4 years. He's 203 pounds at 5'11" and around 10 to 12 12% body fat. I crunched the numbers, and assuming we go with 12%, that puts his FFMI at, here we go, 25.0, right at the cutoff.
19 and already in the stress territory. Yet again, 1 in a billion genetic and he should speedrun to be the next Ronnie Coleman, or
from the Corey study. If we instead go with 10% body fat, his FFMI is 25.
And he's not 12, by the
As a
way.
comparison, what do you think Ronnie Coleman's FFMI was at his peak? Ronnie won the Mr. Olympia contest 8 times, 8 Sandow trophies, the most in bodybuilding history. On stage, he was 5'11", 290 pounds at 5% body fat. His FFMI was 38.5. I'm sure this goes without saying, but Ronnie was
peak. Oh, for
way bigger
fuck's
than
sake.
Julian.
This was at his peak, not when he was 19. This is Ronnie at 40 years old. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Ronnie obviously wasn't natural at his peak. He did have world-class genetics, though. Like, Ronnie and his coaches say he was
Thank
still
you.
100% natural here at 27
90
years
kilogram.
old. And given what he
Redo
eventually
it again.
became, most of the bodybuilding world believes it. Now, in case you're doubtful, which I totally get, just check.
Oh, not 38.
Check out this classic study which showed the power of muscle building genetics. It might just blow your mind if you haven't seen it before. I'm not sure if this part is common sense or not. Maybe it depends on how long you've been around gym culture. They took 342 women and 243 men and had them train their biceps for 12 weeks. Then they measured how much their biceps grew using MRI. The interesting part is that they all ran the same program, the exact same program. But just look at how different their gains were. Most people grew
Same diet, same program for everything or just biceps, same sleep, same life schedule, same lifestyle, same hydration, same peri-training nutrition, same supplementation.
grew their biceps by about 20%. But there were a few unlucky subjects who didn't gain any muscle at all. And there were a few really lucky subjects who gained 40, 50, even 55% bicep size while running the exact same program as everyone over here. There were
By size, do they mean like muscle tissue, like meat, or do they mean any kind of water or fluid retention plus inflammation from training? Because that changed a lot. That changed a lot of things.
585 people in that study. That's 0.000007% of the world's population. And it still had a few freaks. So why are some people so surprised when every now and then someone shows up with genetics like Julian Fitzgerald or Ronnie Coleman? All right, so how big can you get without steroids? Well, assuming you're an average male, you train hard, you eat right, and you stay consistent, you should be able to hit a fat-free mass index of 22 to 24. Maybe 25 if you stick with it long enough and you've got some pretty good genetics. At around 12% body fat, a 24 FFMI would translate to 165 pounds if you're 5'6", 185 pounds if you're 5'9", 200 pounds if you're 6 foot, and 220 pounds if you're 6'3". Some of you will be able to go above those numbers, and it doesn't necessarily mean steroids, but for most people, this will be around your natty limit. And if you're looking to maximize your own physique naturally, diet is absolutely crucial. My nutrition app MacroFactor uses science-based algorithms to guarantee that you'll hit your goal as long as you follow the plan. It's the app I used to run my entire bulk last year, and it's the app I'm using for my cut this summer. We've got more than 350...
It really did show a pick AI thing to calculate your diet. The thing that is so easy to mislead and to even cheat.
50,000 active users in an amazing,
Is that it?
supportive online community with some mind-blowing transformations. You can try it out for 2 weeks for free at the first link in the description box
Oh, you have to pay for that? Oh, come on, okay. They lied about lying about the fact they were lying. Okay. Yeah, I was going to watch that. No. I don't even know why there is some like rage shit right there, but yeah. And then Jeff Nippard tried to destroy his career, apparently. Jeff Nippard destroyed his career by defending him. Because now you guys, okay, now you understand that Jeff is not as knowledgeable as you think he was. He's not as untouchable as you think he was. And yet again, if genetic is so much of a factor, why should we train in a science-based, optimized, evidence-based way if right from the get-go it's genetic and something and nothing else? Why should we bother? The second thing is that now that you have seen that it can be wrong, a very normal and natural reaction will be to think, oh, Jeff was wrong then. I wonder if he was wrong too in the past. And now you're going to second guess absolutely everything you ever thought you knew and learned from him. That's how you fucked up. That's how you fucked an entire community, an entire trust towards you that you have tried very hard to build since what, 7 years, something like that, for nothing. Nothing. For a brat that is obviously lying to everyone, and that just showed that not only was lying, but he was able to pass test. You know who else was lying and passed a shit ton of test? I think more like something like 500. Lance Armstrong. He passed every single test and he was lying. He passed a blood work. Fine. Did he do a surprise urine test? Can he pass a hair analysis steroid? You know, looking at your hair mineral balance and shit to find out how were your hormones at a very specific time, because, you know, the longer your hair are, the more you can find stuff inside and determine a hormonal status. If it's not the hair, the body hair, can he pass them all? Apparently he's offering money. He's just lying and it is blatant. Fucking blatant. Wait, I'm going to check his Instagram. That is the first time ever I see a trainer where you cannot see any before and after picture of any guy he coach a trade on his like first page or whatever, where it's only showing him sport cars with the money of a coaching that you built plus some stuff. I guess he has a brand and he's sponsored, and you're using this money while being a fake natty and flaunting and boasting about it. There you have it, guys. Do you want to make it in the fitness industry? Do you wish to gain a lot of money in the fitness industry? Do you wish to have a huge fan base, the shit on a sponsor in the fitness industry? Choose hard, and then lie about it. Then lie about the fact that you lied about it, and then keep making bucks and training yourself with sports car. Guess you learned good from the previous ones.